most of the time, if Lunacy on 2 happens, the Mage becomes so heavily favored in like any matchup that it's almost not worth discussing, weirdly enough, at that point. But let's get into our game number 1 between these two players. As you can see there, Bunnyhoppor on the top there, the winner of the group. So he had yesterday as a day off for him there, chilling, but he's going to be on the Priest on top, and Warma, who fought his way through the group, the decider match yesterday as well, he's going to be on the bottom there on his Mage.
We did see a very interesting one looking at this mind render in hand now last night, where the Priest held on for quite a long time, and then it mind rendered and cast the deck of Lunacy to get rid of all the remaining burn spells. There's like 7 cards left in each deck. Because they were going to die to burn. So they cast the Mage's Lunacy for the Mage to try and just get lucky with the burn spells. So they turned into, just straight garbage, which they do sometimes. And that was really good fun.
Yeah, the ways some of these cards, and honestly, just the way Lunacy interacts. I think Sol said this yesterday. Like, building the Lunacy deck and the way Lunacy can interact with things is way more interesting than the deck itself when you play it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, pretty funny to hear another story of that one. But Incantus Flow is going to come down there for Warma, so gets a nice early reduction and one of those at least early game plays that isn't Lunacy that's actually still good.
Absolutely. I mean, the deck is fully functional without the Lunacy. And like you say, sometimes, like I just said as well, like sometimes you don't want to play the Lunacy. Depending on the timing, you hit this point of no return where your damage in your existing deck is just better than the Lunacy. We're not there yet. If he draws Lunacy next turn, he will play it. But at some point, it becomes an unplayable card. It's really bizarre. And Bunnyhoppor just setting up the defense, getting ready for the onslaught that's about to come.
Yeah, no real surprise there, going for the Insight. Warma, Arcane Intellect into just nothing that great. Doesn't even use the Primordial Studies straight away and wants to wait for that. Bunnyhoppor does have this Insight now. Can't corrupt it, but maybe it's just 2-mana draw a card is enough. Also, a slight difference compared to some of the priests we've seen earlier is Bunnyhoppor is actually playing Cthulhu in his list, whereas some players aren't. We saw Yogg in an earlier game today on stream in Europe. So
Cthulhu's a really interesting card. I think in many decks, it's gonna come and go through the next year. I think that a no-win condition deck automatically looks to Cthulhu for a bit of help, and then over time you find out that the Cthulhu pieces are usually just a little bit slow and clunky, and you don't really want them. So you take it out, and then you lose a win condition, and then the cycle repeats. And I think that's just going to happen all year long. I don't think anyone's going to decide whether it's good or not until, forever.
Yeah, I do agree, and that's that's kind of the joy of the game, though, as well, right? That even top-level pros can't always decide on deck builds or even deck choices. But here, Bunnyhoppor could coin out Dragon Maw. We could hold the coin to play even slower, but I think getting the minion down feels pretty good.
If you can make the Mage fireball something that isn't your face at some point, I mean, there's devolving missiles, there's all sorts of other ways, but if you can just force them to burn something at some point that isn't you, it's a massive help. So you keep trying to make that happen.
Just get the added bonus that now that Insight's corrupt as well. So he does get the mana cost reduction on the minion. Looks like we've got a slight disconnect on Warma's side, I'm going to guess, since he's very much the most still player on the camps right now.
Yeah, he's thinking very hard right now. Just not blinking. And got the glasses in the push-up position, which means he's about to make a play he likes.
Yeah, and don't worry, guys.
Hopefully he'll get that resolved.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll get back into the game shortly. Probably, maybe the game crashed. Maybe it's just a slight internet hiccup. And there we go, already back in. And luckily for us, Warma didn't even pick the Discover yet. So he's going to go for that Thalnos, leave the Phoenix back in the pile, and just play that Thalnos out right now to get the spell damage.
Yeah,
Ruined Orb to the face.
Yeah, no messing around. He wanted the card as well, because even though he's got a good damage-filled hand, in the ideal world, you'd like to get the Phoenix, you get extra cards from Cram Sessions, you get more damage from the burn spells, etc. But he actually hasn't got any sort of refuel, so the card from the Thalnos was deemed very important. Right. Yeah. Not that this deck lacks it. He'll top deck something and just draw a million cards in a minute, but for now, he needed a card.
It's an interesting turn as well because, you know, Eye of Cthulhu looks tempting, but it is not guaranteed. And if it misses, then he takes so much damage.
Yeah, I mean, we can see it's ridiculous, but he's kind of nearly dead. It's absurd. Mask is just crazy. I wonder if that will eventually get a nerf. It doesn't feel ridiculous, but it seems to be doing so much more than...
Yeah, well, the thing is, it does versus decks that don't play tons of minions, versus, like, you know, Paladin, it's a completely different story, right? Like, Mask often just can't clear a board versus Paladin, never mind push damage to face. But I think, obviously, you know, versus in the mirror match versus Priest, some decks that aren't, like, mid-range minion heavy, then yes, you know, 7 mana deal 10 is obviously better than 10 mana deal 10. Lorenzo made a very questionable noise there as Jandis was drawn, but I'll let it slide.
A wild Jan disappears. Which one would you pick, Raven? I'm always fascinated by your Jandis mind games.
Well, it's a little bit more simple when there are no minions on board, right? Because obviously if there was a minion and you have a taunt, then you would normally pick the taunt one to be lessened. But here, I think, yeah, you just pick the worst one. There's nothing too crazy. A lot of the time in this situation, Priest will have some form of AoE anyway. So if there's AoE, you may as well pick the smaller one, right?
Yeah, so... This is so hard for Bunnyhoppor now. Like, if next turn he takes 2 fireballs or a mask, and the turn afterwards he takes 2 fireballs or a mask. In between that, he's got to somehow stop this Jandis from doing a load of damage, and actually try to establish some sort of sensible attempt to win. I don't think he's going to get out of this, I must admit.
Yeah, and the Mask versus Fireballs next turn is very simply, is the board empty? Yes, then Mask will get played. If the board is not empty, then potentially Fireballs will get played.
Yeah, he's got a lab partner for 0 mana that he's holding on to as well. I mean, not that Bunnyhoppor will need this clue, but that's a big clue that there's a reduced card in hand still. Oh, Lunacy won't get played.
So generally speaking, if he's going to Mask, he should hold the lab partner, because the lab partner with the fireballs will actually get 1 extra damage.
Yep. Two times, buffing twice instead of buffing once, but yeah, he'll check breakpoints and stuff like that. He may be able to get the lab partner down as a minion to give Bunnyhoppor something else to worry about for a turn as well. Wow.
I don't even overly mind this. Of course, we can see that, like, it looks very tempting to just say, well, this is kind of lethal. But the second healing does come out, and we can see now Desperate Prayer, along with Renew, is actually there. So the second healing does come out, then what does he do? His hand is Flame Strike, Confection, whatever the name is.
What scares me in this position, if I'm the mage, and obviously sort of trying to reduce health total without it getting healed is good, is if I corner my opponent into playing Mind Render and then I can get rid of some of my damage cards. That scares me. Like, they're not going to play Mind Render normally, but Bunny, if he had it, is almost at panic button stage. He might actually have to play it and then get rid of my cards, sort of almost by mistake.
He's going to be able to get away with a pretty good, like, Renew Hero Power Zarella. Maybe even Idol of Yasharaj wouldn't be too bad. There's an extreme big tool, but he probably just isn't going to need it. Draconic Studies will, of course, not only get him potentially a big dragon like Malagos, the Spellweaver, but also if he draws one of his big bombs, reduce that down a little bit more.
Yeah, just doing his part and keeping the game alive, and he gets a Mukla, and he knows that's bad.
Yeah, weirdly enough, at this point, even though there's a Lunacy in hand, Warma is pretty much just after his second Fireball. Oh, Apex is blast. Okay, that's relevant.
It's all lethal. How many lethals would you like?
Any burn damage possible here for Warma. He still has 1 Fireball left because one of those in hand is generated. Still got the Apexis Blast as well.
But isn't it just mega lethal? Like, just 2 fireballs?
Can he ping? Oh, he's got Lab Partner.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there you go. It is lethal. For some reason, I just forgot the Lab Partner existed.
Yeah, well, I mean, we only talked about it for 2 turns, so...
Well, it's also the fact that...
I know what you mean. There's so much going on.
Warma's just not doing it.
Yeah, that's what's scaring me, right? It's like 7 plus 7
earlier.
is more than
He did have
13.
a disconnect earlier, so he might be, having just a touch of lag, depending on how his internet connection is. But yeah, that is frankly lethal. He can use a Pexis Blast or Fireball. The speed...
Bunny's going to be well unhappy.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to make a guess. Warma might have to have switched to his phone maybe or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's why this play is slower, because he's obviously making sure that every drag is perfect. So yeah, anyway, that's me speculating. Speculation does not matter at this point. Warma takes the victory with his Mage. So that is game number 1 done to Warma. And we saw the game you outlined, right? Yet again in EU, we see no crazy Deck of Lunacies early. We just see Deck of Lunacies super late and all the burn count. And honestly, a part of me hopes, after the nerfs happen next week, that some kind of Spell Mage is still a deck that just doesn't need Deck of Lunacy or rely on it. Because I think the deck itself is very interesting. It's just Deck of Lunacy makes, parts of the actual gameplay a little bit silly.
Yeah, well, Dog and our own Sottle were playing it on sort of day 1, day 2 without the Deck of Lunacy,
right.
And the deck was fully functional, good deck, but not complete nonsense. You actually had a deck of Hearthstone cards for your opponent to try and play around to some degree. But here we saw there was hardly any generation here. There was some, but a little tiny bit, but no totally ridiculous stuff. Nothing outside the normal realms of Hearthstone, and it's still a strong deck. It's great.
Yeah, and I think the real problem here Bunnyhoppor had was nothing ever really got going, but I will say, in his list, there aren't really any early minions. There's no Sethic in here either. It pretty much is Elucia as the first minion in the list. The Zarella we saw, and then Malygos, Cthulhu, Yogg. So there's all that late game, but the problem is when the majority of your power, I guess, to actually game-winning power is in 9 cost, 10 cost, 10 cost, and that 10 cost, obviously, Cthulhu requires pieces, then, yeah, you're not going to have many minions, which means Mage is not going to be pressured, and if you can piece together that kind of burn damage, then the games will look like that. So a little bit awkward there, and I think maybe Bunnyhoppor's just choice of 30 cards in that Priest might have been a bit of a weakness in that specific matchup, but there's plenty more time yet in this series, and it looks like the players are still deciding what they want to lock in here, so a lot of thought going into this one.
Yeah, maybe Warma's just having a moment, again, speculating, but maybe he's having to sort of run around checking internets and things. Do you remember when they had that tournament with, the really small screens to show off?
Yes.
It was the first, iPad tournament, but before iPads were actually any good. And people were sort of moving every cursor around as close to the edge of the screen as they could so they didn't accidentally shoot a minion or something. I
once hosted, a live in-person tournament a long time ago that we provided tablets to play on. Never recommend it. It was not. It went well. It ran and everything was fine. But to the tech side of it, of having to make sure everything works, all the Wi-Fi codes and them disconnecting and all that, it was, and keeping a track of them so people don't just leave with them. Nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Never do it again. But let's get back into the game as we do have the picks now. Bunnyhoppor's going to switch over to his Rogue and Warma over to this Paladin. And again, this is a Lorinda Paladin because it has Kazakus in it and he's the only person in the world who's a real fan. But the double Libra of Justice in there. And again, interestingly, the big difference for me is the secret package with 1 Galloping Savior, 1 Avenge, and that 1 Noble Sacrifice in there to mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, I actually nearly mislogged this, which has happened before. I'm looking through, I think, oh, this is the aggro Paladin. There's a Noble Sack.
Oh, right.
Which fits in that aggro deck quite well, because it's just another minion for you. But no, it's just his choice. See how it goes, I guess. It's probably okay in the mirror. It might be okay against Rogue. It's going to stop a big smack from one thing, but we'll have to wait and see. Because I think that outside of coupling it with Avenge, not a lot goes on with Noble Sack right now.
Yeah, and here is Bunnyhoppor's Rogue list, and one that I'm playing something very similar to this list, not quite card for card, but I will say I think Rogue right now, some of the players such as Bunnyhoppor who are actually choosing to ban Rogue might just be onto something. because it does feel like a terror. And as I was saying yesterday to Sottle, I think, at least my view on it, is Rogue is often harder to build well, as in the deck list, than many other classes, because they have so many powerful tools that all work together in different ways. Whereas the Lunacy Mage, pretty straightforward deck to build, right? Even if you're a few cards different, the deck does the same thing. Again, same with Secret Paladin. The two most popular decks right now felt the two simplest to build over the course of a few days. But with Rogue, I think there's a lot of depth to how you can build that class. And I do think that players have just about in time for this week at least scratched the surface of what's possible. And what's possible is shock horror for Rogue. Very powerful. So we'll see if it pays off for this ban and if Bunnyhoppor can get a win on this deck, because I think it is going to be one of the new terrors of the meta next week.
Yeah, it's also super versatile in a meta where we can't agree whether you ban Mage or Paladin. Like, nobody knows, I don't think. There's people with strong opinions, but when good players have strong opinions on both sides of the argument, I think nobody knows is the correct answer. You can just tune your Rogue with the selection of 30 out of 40 cards to target the way you want it to go. I must admit, I've seen it a lot in Europe, but I haven't come across the Alex Straza version at all in the research I did this week. It just turned up out of the last minute, as far as I was concerned.
I do feel like it's just one of those EU techs that kind of comes out of nowhere, and honestly, I think it's going to go away very quickly as well.
Yeah.
But even less so, it's not even a defensive tool. It's basically just a giant pen flinger, is what it's used for most of the time. So just to deal 8 to face to finish a game. And honestly, I think that's very true. But I do think as time goes on, that will get changed, because obviously having a 9-drop in hand as Rogue early in a game, it's just a nightmare. You don't want that. You want cheap, efficient tools throughout the whole game and to draw your whole deck.
Well, talking of cheap, efficient tools, Warma's opening hand couldn't be cheaper or efficienter right now. It's just looking a really good start, even throughout the well met at the start there.
Yep, getting the Eldor Attendant on 1 is exactly where you want to be. Even the Hand of Adol on 2, which Warma doesn't necessarily even have to play next turn. He has double Knight of Anointment along with that Psychic Conjurer, so he doesn't have to go for it. Obviously now he can't, but even just before he saw that Brain Freeze come down, he still had options to go wide here.
Yep, and a lot of that has just been taken away from him with one card. Rogue just doing the Rogue things, and it is amazing that Rogue, out of the big 3 classes, is the only one with a positive win rate right now this week, because the other 2 are targeted so hard.
And I honestly think that's a combination of, in my opinion, Rogue having a good matchup versus Mage and Paladin, and also Rogue just being good anyway. I think actually Rogue might quietly just be the best deck right now.
I actually agree with you.
If you just remove the silliness of the nuts lunacy draws, which no deck will beat, then I think Rogue actually just on the whole is just better.
But you can only say that if there's about 15 people, the top 15 people in the world or something playing it. Because Rogue is so complicated to play well.
Yeah.
You've got to do everything right or you just lose horribly. If you're just not paying attention on ladder and you sort of fire up a copied Rogue deck and just play a few cards, you just lose to everything. You have to really, really be good at Rogue and really pay attention.
And I see a really interesting play there from Bunnyhoppor, actually really respecting Warma's side of the board there, clearing off minions, using up cards that are actually very powerful with field contact to draw more cards a little bit later on in the game. So yeah, I think it just shows that the sheer level of respect that Bunnyhoppor does actually have here for the Paladin and not letting them stick a board. Warma gets down the Attendant and makes it a 4-6. So again, can be cleared off, but would require everything from Bunnyhoppor.
Yeah. Although the stab obviously would help that to some degree if he wants to go that way. Trying to work out how the tempo works out over the next 2 or 3 turns, and this is kind of his chance to get his intellect out there, because if he did it any later, then he gets met with the Truth Seekers and the bigger Paladin minions. So he's better off just having this one turn to take the time out rather than a turn later.
And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier as well. Although Bunnyhoppor has ways around this with Secret Passage and Swindle, this Alex Straza in hand on turn 3, it achieves nothing for another 6 turns. That is such a long time for Rogue. Like, Rogue will probably just win in 6 turns time anyway. So the fact that it's just kind of stuck there, I do think we're going to see Alexstrasza get phased out pretty quickly. But we'll see how it goes, at least for this week.
Yeah, the Europe meta is always funny when something like that happens, because everybody talks to like 2 other people, and before you know it, all 16 players have brought the same tech card. It's like they've all got their own little groups, but they sort of have little overlaps in them somewhere, and everybody knows it exists.
So now Bunnyhoppor has to start, really considering these secrets and what the best way to either play around them or just go through them is.
Yeah, and this is where it starts getting awkward. But he does have some minions to at least do stuff with here. Where he could have just piled all of his minions into the 4/6 and cleared it last turn.
Right.
He does have more tools, but that is not the outcome he wanted at all, obviously. He's so comfortable leaving up a big minion and just accepting that he'll have to deal with it later. He doesn't panic. He could have cleared this many ways already by now, but they were all very, very resource intensive, so instead he just uses health as the resource.
Hey, now with the Octo draw, it looks good just because of the size of the hand, but no way to actually proc it. No Penflinger in hand, which is the usual suspect if you want a self-proc on a Octo. So, yeah, I'm just wondering where he can go here. Yoink could be useful if he gets Mage hero power. He could go for that instead.
That's super expensive, though.
It's expensive, but look at the amount of mana it would save.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and obviously I'm not saying he necessarily has to do it this turn, but he would cut down a ton of mana. He's going to start with the secret passage instead and open that box.
No Procto Octo for this one. He's going to get more and more generated cards and push his health total to the limit, honestly, here. I can't believe that we went... I gave you 10 seconds there to talk about Potion of Illusion, and you didn't bite. Raven, who have you become?
I've grown up. Okay, well, Bunnyhoppor did get that Shadow Step. I was going to say, that secret passage looked kind of weird, but if he didn't play it, he wouldn't have been able to play it anyway. So it did actually end up sort of bagging him that one thief still in the hand, and now his hand is... he'll really be looking to proc that Octo next turn because the reduction is absurd, even if it's expensive to do so.
Yep, it's getting pretty crazy now, and just 1 or 2 animations to finish that turn off. But he's close to dying here. This Libram of Hope is going to make a real problem for Bunny to deal with.
I was actually wondering... Yeah, it's just better, right? I was glancing at Northwatch Commander, but I guess Libram of Hope is just better.
It's just because of his board already having a lot of stuff, it's just a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine knowing every single card in the game already.
I know what it does.
Yeah, but... I remember thinking, hey, he's called, like, Red Priest Man, and I found out he actually was Crimson Clergy. I'm like, that's near enough. I can go with Red Priest Man, I can remember
Scarlet Crusade, dude. Because the Scarlet Crusade is the faction he's from. Based on the artwork. But yeah, I was just, I wouldn't have been that close, unfortunately. But yeah, you are right. 12 health now for Bunnyhoppor. Warma pushing a ton of damage, and now it's just whether the card even exists to get the job done. Doesn't get ping for the proc on the Octo.
Yeah, he's looking for it, but no, don't Cone of Cold your own Octo. Surely it's just too expensive and you die.
Can he? I wonder if this is ever actually Wicked Stab on the 2/3 here. Okay.
But to make space for the cone to be better.
Well, just to cone the 3 bigger minions and not take 4, right? Hey, he's going to save it, though. Again, it's I've been playing Rogue most of the morning during APAC today, and I found it like really difficult to make myself Wicked Stab a minion because it can go face. You know what I mean? And it's so much damage, so I do respect him keeping hold of it here.
Another Libram, though. There's no AoE in Rogue. Every time you put 8 health down, you're just putting down 8 more stuff they've got to do. This time he is going for the North Watch because he is running out of things a little bit.
And I think the problem here is as well, he wants to play Yogg. And if you play Yogg, you should probably play Commander there, because if not, and you don't draw a secret next turn, that is just a 3/4, and that is that's just worse, right?
Yep.
He can play Hope next turn, and it's absolutely fine. So now Warma putting on a ton of pressure, and Bunnyhopper's going to have to pull something out of a hat here.
A bunny out of a hat.
Yeah, exactly, because outside of something really powerful here from this one thief, which now he can't even shadow step. I don't know. He's dead.
I'm trying to work out there.
Wow. Okay, well,
was there something?
Go on.
Was there something he could have thrown into the Yogg to try and like freeze the board or clear the board? That might have been better, but I don't think he had anything that cost more than 2, which means there was no hope.
The problem is, I don't think he had anything that cost 1, even for a snap freeze, and he didn't have anything that cost 3. He had Wicked Stab that cost 2, which doesn't do anything anyway. So yeah, it was an unfortunate one. I think the only other thing he could have done is like used Wicked Stab to proc Yogg, then Shadow Step the one thief to try and get another Cone of Cold. But the real problem, honestly, is what does Cone of Cold do? Make the game last 1 turn longer? He's still nowhere near clearing up the board. I think here you can see that Warma just got so far ahead so early. This 7-5 was alive for the rest of this game. It did not die, as you can still see now. And it just kept getting bigger, and Bunnyhoppor just didn't get the job done. And I do wonder if there was... Obviously, it would have been a different outcome potentially, but he could have gone for that octo reduction earlier, so then he could have got the field contact out cheaper and everything else cheaper, because that was, I think, the downfall. He had a lot of stuff, but not the mana capabilities to actually combo it all, pay for it all as well. So it was a really tough one in general.
Yeah, all the way back on turn 3, he had hard decisions. He played that Arcane Intellect, which cost him a lot of tempo. And, I mean, Bunny will be right and I will be wrong, and I felt it was right at the time. But things snowballed from there. He never really managed to get the mana or the board back after that point.
Right.
And now he has a really important decision to make. Does he want to have friends or not? Because he's got to win with all 3 decks anyway, and Warma has to play his priest. So there's no tiebreakers. You either win or you lose. It doesn't matter if it's 3-0, 3-2. Bunny, do you want to play the priest first, or do you want to have friends?
I'm going to find out. Okay, Bunny picked Mage. So we're going to have Priest versus Mage first. So let's be honest, the only real way this series ends now is Bunny plays Mage, wins. Bunny plays Rogue, wins. And then it's a Priest mirror at the end of the day. Not even at the end of the day, at the end of this match in which we've got 1 more left. So that's the only real way this series will end if EU traditions are to be kept. But we'll see it anyway, as Bunnyhoppor, I do believe, is putting in that Mage list, which, again, looks fairly standard. It's got a few extra secrets in there, the Ice Barrier, double Netherwind, and double Ring Toss. But as I was saying to Derek, I don't know if you caught it, that I do like this extra secret package, so you can be maybe a little bit more anti-aggro, purely because if Mage is being left up, you would generalize that your opponent's then going to be bringing some aggro decks, in which, you know, an Ice Barrier, the double Netherwind, and the double Ring Toss, and double Combustion as well, are all going to be pretty good cards against that.
And I need to have a chat with Mr. TJ, because I suggested maybe that Cram Session could be taken out of some majors, and I got all Americas on. Like, oh no,
really?
You couldn't take that out. Yeah.
You know what, Lorinda? If TJ's listening or not, I think Cram Session sucks in Mage. It is the first card I would cut, 100%, because so many times I've played it and it's 2 mana draw 1. It's like, oh, okay.
Or 2 mana.
Could be anything else.
And I've got 10 cards already, so who cares that I can draw 3, because it's just a pain to draw those 3 cards. That being said, sometimes it is good in an emergency. I think I have it as sort of 28th card, so I might play it. But I was seriously bringing it up. I didn't realise it actually had been cut by some players.
To be fair, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lorinda, you should remember this, but who are we to argue with Briarthorn, who I believe kept it in his mulligan in Mage yesterday in the America's Grandmasters? So if you want truly incredible things to happen, make sure to tune in later to the America's GM and see how mulligans are not done, in my opinion. But anyway, moving quickly.
You won't see a Mage mulligan in Fled's game because he hasn't even got a Mage and he's in the quarterfinals.
Hey, if someone's winning by doing that, then okay. I'm going to be quiet. Warma here on this priest looks, again, it's kind of weird to say standard because I think these priest lists do differ by a few cards. There is no Yogg, but there's a Headmaster Kel'Thuzad in here, which I do find very intriguing. And also, unlike I believe Bunnyhoppor, let me just triple check. He is playing both Zarella and Blademaster Samuro. So a little bit more minion dense here in the early and mid game, which is what in that one game of Bunnyhoppor we saw I felt he was missing. But still lacking on that big Yogg potential for the late game as well. So again, just a slightly different take on the priest. But to go up against this mage, I think we're going to see something akin to the previous matchup that we had in this series where the mage can either get tons of burn or lunacy. If two of those things don't happen, I think the priest can do very well.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summation. I think long term, this priest needs a better win condition than this Cthulhu Malygos kind of, mess of an idea. Everyone's playing it. This isn't a pick on this particular deck. But for now, they seem to be the cards of choice. And obviously, when the meta changes, you change your win conditions anyway. So it might just change naturally. Bunnyhoppor's picked up an Incanter's Flow and a Mask of Cthulhu. I doubt he'll keep the Mask, but he might. He will keep the Flow. I don't.
I think this is the big discussion point, right? Is Flow in Mulligan or Throw? And I think that I would completely understand Incanter's Flow, but I know there are a chunk of players who are probably like, it's not lunacy, so throw it.
Interesting.
But yeah, Bunnyhoppor did decide to keep the flow, and again, I think both of those things I don't overly care about, one or the other. If Bunnyhoppor threw it, I'd be like, oh, okay, interesting, he really wants lunacy. If he keeps it, I'd be like, okay, Incanter's Flow is a good enough card to keep, and a good enough early card to keep. So I see both sides of that story, but we'll see what happens here as Warma going to get off to a reasonable start himself with Draconic Studies and having some pretty powerful minions to choose from, actually.
Yeah, but you might be dead by turn 9, but yeah, they're big. Yeah, this is a good one. The extra 8 health heal might be good. And I've known you long enough,
or
Raven,
turn 7 with coin.
Good point. I know you always go with the flow, Raven. That's just how you roll. Bunny is on your side.
I was surprised there to see Incanter's Flow here for Bunnyhoppor.
This is Alex Straza. Yeah, you
go on. No, go on.
I just think this Alex Straza, if it's too early, it might not be able to actually heal. With Bunny's playing a slightly slower hand at the moment. Obviously, it's a huge dragon, so he's going to want to play it. It could turn into an offensive unit. It might be quite entertaining.
Oh, yeah. I mean, an 8/8 that deals 8 to face, that's why it's in Bunnyhoppor's rogue deck. Right? Like I say, it's like a giant penflinger at this point. So I think that will be, if there's nothing else that Warma needs to do and he can play it safely, 100% he'll play that and be pretty happy with the outcome. I was just going to say, this is the weird part of this specific matchup, is sometimes both players don't have a lot to do in the early game, so they're kind of just, okay, I'll play this. Okay, I'll discover this. And they have to just get on with it. So it's kind of just this weird early game, but Mok'Nathal Lion there coming down for Bunnyhoppor from the Netherwind Portal does mean he gets to at least push something this turn.
Yeah, and 5 is obviously a chunky amount of damage. You just don't need to do that much damage to the priest with your minions very often. Obviously they can heal back up. Obviously they have loads of surplus removal waiting around to just kill your minions. That's kind of what priest hopes to do in general against anybody. But it uses up their mana while they're dealing with them, and then you're getting further and further into your Pegasus Blasts and your masks and all the good things. Okay.
He's going to go for Thrive.
Pretty hard choice here because he's drawn one Cthulhu piece already. He may see that as a sort of acceleration of the win condition. I assume he'll take the prayer. It's just so useful.
Yeah, although I see the point with the Cthulhu, it's also difficult because he would draw it. He would still have 24 cards left.
Yeah.
Right? Like, are you really expecting to draw 2 as priest that quickly? Like, probably not at this point.
Yeah, you'd be better off holding on to the card until you've drawn the next 2 and then go fishing for the last one. If you were going to try and combo kill that way. But yeah, taking the prayer, it's just got so much synergy in the deck. Well, synergy with not getting fireballed and also synergy with Zarella, of course.
Yeah, it's just going to be the age-old Apexis Blaster face on turn 5 here for Bunnyhoppor. Has the Mask of Cthulhu, and very importantly, that refreshing spring water, right? So we can actually draw more cards and keep the cycle going, whereas now Warma has to think about if he's just okay with this 3-6.
Yeah, he's also got to work out how he's going to get these apotheoses to do things. Like, all he needs to do is stick a minion for 1 turn, double apotheosis, get back to 30, and then he's done half of the job. Normally, in the olden days, you'd say he'd done the whole job and the mage wouldn't be able to kill him then, but unfortunately the mage then just draws a million cards and tries again.
Yeah. We live in crazy times.
We really do.
Yeah, this initiate, though, could be quite nice. Initiation, sorry, initiate. I'm just making up words.
That's fine, I invent whole names. They don't ask me for my card names, I don't know why.
Fireball. Seems good.
Nice cheap spring water to help your day. And a casual 13 damage.
And this is what, like, maybe we've just been a bit unlucky with the games today on stream, obviously. But this is what confuses me about this list that just doesn't run any minions early game. It's like, don't decks that do this just kill you? You know, like, you don't do anything for like the first 7 turns of the game, and then you have some great turns. But until then, I don't know. Maybe it's just better versus Paladin, which...
I mean, you look how many cards now that Warma's just had to not play because he's playing against someone who doesn't play minions. Against Paladin, he'd have had much better things to do. He also wouldn't be so scared of playing his own minions. They would stick themselves. You play Apotheosis, you get a monstrous man, and the monstrous man just goes the distance.
Probably going to coin Apotheosis out now because he's always got the second one. Oh, he's going to heal, okay. I was going to just preemptively Apotheosis.
So he's got to get through 2 turns. One with the Apotheosis would be nice for him, but Bunnyhoppor is aware that those 2 cards have been on the left-hand side for the whole game. So he doesn't just need to make this smaller. In an ideal world, he would kill it off as well. So he's going to be hoping to brain freeze whatever remains.
Probably wants rigged fair game, right? Because he's going to brain freeze.
Yeah. Counterspell's also handy because he's scared of, if something ever slips through the net. But there's not much healing in this deck if you just keep their minions dead.
I also think Counterspell's only scary if there's already a minion on board, right?
And he's going to kill it, yeah, okay.
He's going to kill it. So I think if he kills it and he picked rigged fair game, you've got to expect against Priest for that to go off.
Yep. That's a fair point. And then you
all
expect
Bunnyhoppor needs now is cards.
Yeah, because you're Mage, you just draw some cards and then you win. And look how that's worked out for him. Normally Warma would be hoping to Elucia to stay alive here, but because of the rigged fair game, that's not going to happen. And Holy Smite, just a reminder, doesn't go face.
So I think he has to just play KT. Or Kalthazard, sorry. Because...
looks that way.
He might be afraid... Wait, what?
Well, he thinks he's being set up for lethal. I can see why he's done this. It's not going to work, but I get the point.
Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, this makes sense. I'm an
makes
idiot
sense.
and thought the Draconic Studies reduction stuck to the hand or the deck, not the player. That's my fault. Because I was like, you've just given him lethal with Alexstrasza, but of course it's unplayable because it's 9 mana for Bunnyhoppor. So yeah, that's completely my mistake.
But it could be lethal. If he plays Devolving Missiles and the portal goes off and then double Apotheosis, if he messed that up, he could actually just die to his own Apotheosises.
Oh. Okay. So this was kind of good that Rigged Fair Game went off on Warma's deck, but also kind of bad because it gives Bunnyhoppor more options for what to do. So
kill it.
It's just lethal. Yeah, so it's kind of it was good on paper, but bad in practice, I guess, as that is going to be the game, the Eye of Cthulhu betraying Warma and ending this one, which means Bunnyhoppor is not out yet. Warma doesn't get the 3-0, but still Bunnyhoppor has a lot of work to do to take this series. But that was definitely a strange one, wasn't it? And again, Mage is being left up. Okay, this is a slightly different matchup here, but Mage is being left up when these players are bringing this Priest. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the games on stream are, just unlucky, but the Priest just sits there and does nothing for 7 turns and expects the Mage to not win because of that. And we've seen it a few times already today. They're like, well, if you let Mage just cast spells for 7 turns straight, then yeah, they'll probably nearly kill you every time. So I'm very surprised that this is the plan. Maybe the Priest is just good enough versus everything else that it's one of those ideas of, oh yeah, it loses to Mage, but Mage can get its win. We don't lose to anything else. And then that's where the wins are coming from, which makes sense.
Yeah, there's 3 ways to build your lineup this particular week. You can ban Mage and build your lineup that way. You can ban Paladin and build your lineup that way. So you're either targeting the Paladin or targeting the Mage, or you ban one of them, who cares which, you lose to the other one, who cares which, they're gone, and you worry about having good decks against Rogue and all the other nonsense that's out there. And maybe they've just found that Priest actually does really well against Rogue plus the nonsense. That's my only conclusion. Because it's not good against this Mage, I won't have it.
Well, you might need to stretch for a little bit, Lorinda, and prepare yourself because we have our Priest Mirror. It's not going to be the last game. It's going to be this one. But again, purely going off past performance, Bunnyhoppor has been known to be very, very good and navigating, intense, sort of long, intricate games that are Priest Mirrors usually in the recent metas. So I would, again, just have to slightly favour Bunnyhoppor here, purely off, I think he's very good at this matchup in general. So there's a chance that we might get our Priest Mirror now and then end on a different game, a different matchup of Rogue versus Priest. But for now, we're diving straight in, and the big differences in this deck are Bunnyhoppor runs Yogg, and Warma runs Headmaster Kel'Thuzad. And then Warma also runs the Blademaster Samuro, and Bunnyhoppor appears to, again, this is just at a glance, run a Flash Heal. And that's not necessarily straight up swaps, but it's the cards that are jumping out to me.
Yeah, Bunnyhopper's only got 1 Apotheosis, which, is probably a good thing that he only has one of those. And it makes sense because he's not running the Blademaster, so he wouldn't need to buff that so often, so it's kind of snowballs from there, I guess. But basically it's the same deck, so let's see how they go. And I'm going to readjust my seat like Bunny did with his.
I think, honestly, the only big difference, and again, a slight favour, is how much respect you give to Yogg. Because, obviously, Headmaster Kel'Thuzad, I don't really think it's that good in this matchup. Right, and I think Yogg can be crazy in any matchup. So again, I'm just going to lean a little bit over to Bunnyhoppor here, just for the fact that he's got 1 extra big late game threat. But again, quite importantly as well, both players have Cthulhu. So we could end up having a kind of weird Cthulhu race at this point.
You get worse than that. You get weird Luciana Cthulhu nonsense as well.
True, yeah.
Like, I want to Luciana one of your Cthulhu pieces, but not lose any of mine when I do it. So you get this really strange situation. Look, David, I'm in a broadcast in a week when nobody bought Priest, on a broadcast I was never scheduled to do, and I'm somehow casting a Priest Mirror. I don't know how it's a thing, but here we are.
But it is. Yeah.
If it's gonna be like that, it was always gonna happen today.
Maybe Sol
like
looked at who was playing who today and was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Yarla and Bunnyhoppor made top 8?
Hopefully all that sorts itself out though. This is nowhere near as horrific as previous priest things though. The resources are now finite. It's not the whole you play Galakron and you draw a new resource every turn and you wait until fatigue when you've still both got 10 cards left and see who won the high roll contest of who got the best Galakron minions. Like, you're actually playing a game now where if you make a mistake and lose a card, that card is gone and is probably not getting replaced.
Also, I think alongside Galakron, let's just remind everyone, there's no Sethic in either of these lists.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, unlimited priest spell generation, if you want to say that. Imagine if a Sethic lived forever. So yeah, there's not even Sethics in here as well. So this really is going to be, pretty decision dense, honestly, to see who gets ahead.
And just a reminder, because I never miss a chance to mention this, that in the Chinese Team League last year, I cast Bunnyhoppor playing against XHX, and they played a best of 5 that went for over 3 hours of gameplay time. That's not counting sort of breaks and queuing up times. And Bunnyhoppor lost that, and that went on forever. So Bunny's here. He's been here before many times, and playing against Bunny is actually very difficult if you're not used to it. It is a very different pace of play in these priest matches.
Yeah, and here we see
be ready.
Both players getting one of their Cthulhu pieces down already. So that's 1 out of 4 for both, I believe. So things keep being fairly even. But again, this is like the weird stuff about this priest list that maybe I'm just not a even remotely good enough priest player to understand. But like now, there's draconic studies, so Bunnyhoppor can do something with that. But outside of that, like, what is this matchup? Just okay, pass. Play draconic studies, pick a big dragon, potentially, and pass. Because now with these offers, he doesn't have the mana to play Skystalker anyway. And it just feels like such a weird style to play when so much of your early game just isn't really important.
Yeah, and especially in the mirror where you both have infinite removal and no minions, so that removal is always going to hit the minion. And for me, that means that the Skystalker is possibly the best, but if it's going to do nothing, if it's going to die instantly to all of this surplus removal, maybe you take the Alexstrasza because it has an effect that might do something. But that definitely dies. Like, all of your opponent's cards just kill it. So for me, it'd be the Skystalker, but I can see that it just could be anything here.
Makes sense. I mean, it fixes the issue I've been saying I'm having here, which is there's just nothing to do, right? So it's like, look, 5 mana pass from Warma. That's how silly this mirror match is, at this point of it anyway.
The big problem is that when you do the thing that you've given yourself something to do, you just give your opponent something to do. And even worse is you give them a chance to make their hand smaller, so their Malygos is more effective. It's extremely odd.
I guess this card is a bit outside of that, because what tools that Warma has really actually deal with this, right? It's a 5/6 that death rattles into a 3/4. Like, it's not like, Warma now can play Shadow Word Death and forget about it, right? Like, it would require multiple cards to be able to deal with this.
But he can just take 5 and forget about it for a while.
Maybe.
I don't think he's going to. Like, you kind of worry because they might follow it up with another one and then you might have a problem. But yeah, keeping your hand empty... It is actually just ridiculous. Every turn you do need to make the read. Do I think I can steal a Cthulhu piece? Do I have my own Cthulhu piece? If the answer to one of those is yes and the other is no, you can at Luciana and just try and almost win the game on the spot by getting rid of the Cthulhu win condition. I always find it amazing that Bunnyhoppor has these 2 modes. Like, if you ever watch him streaming Hearthstone, he plays just like a normal human being. He plays quite quickly, he plays well, he gets high ranks, blah, blah, blah. And then he has this tournament mode where, yeah, this is Bunnyhoppor in tournament mode right now. And that's why he has had a winning record in every single season of Grandmasters, all 4 previous seasons.
Okay, now you go for Plagued Proto Drake. That's a little bit surprising.
Yep. This is now just, you know, some urgently needed removal. But yeah, this thing actually is a bit of a monster if they, I guess, if they don't deal with it.
It's a strange one as well, because the slower the players play, you know, it's a bit of a negative for Warma right now, because as you mentioned, like, Malygos won't do much if your hand is full anyway from not playing stuff. So yeah, it's kind of this matchup is a tough one to navigate, because it's reminiscent of super old Control Warrior mirrors.
Yeah.
But arguably even tougher, because there's like more flexible cards involved. You know, where to put heals, you know, sort of two-way removal and stuff like that.
And it's also tough because it's new, right? Those warrior mirrors were quite tough when we first met them, and then after a while they kind of became almost solved. You knew, you played mix and match. Yeah, this card belongs on top of their whatever. This kills this kills this, and I save this one card for the end. The brawl has to kill these 2 minions, and so on. Usually your own acolyte to empty it out of your hand.
So here, like, smite, and then I can't remember the name of the card on the far right, the 3-cost. I can check it. The Devouring Plague, like double smite Devouring Plague would have cleaned the first half of that board up, but it looks like Bunnyhoppor's got something else in mind right now. I mean,
trying to work out
smite Devouring Plague.
How much he needs to care. A little bit. A 9/7, you know, will hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost 3 turn, right? Like 3.5 turn lethal if you just leave a 9-drop on a 9 attack minion on the board.
So he's going to Zyrella by the look of it.
Nice, got to exactly 7, kept hold of his smites, not too shabby.
And those are the sort of tiny edges that might well add up later in the game.
Yeah, and develops
if it doesn't
2 minions, right? So
yeah, and you've used your Zyrella for exact ease, like it's just efficient. It still probably comes down to, did I draw my Cthulhu bits first? But in those games where it doesn't come down to that, you've gained an edge by being efficient. But Warma has now got an equally efficient Zyrella available. Doesn't even need it.
Cthulhu piece number 2 for Bunnyhoppor. No targets for it yet, of course, but it is there.
Right, and this is where stuff gets very interesting, because you don't necessarily want to give people targets for these, because eventually you want to catch them. This might be a very interesting game to be played face to face, where you can see their face. Like, do you think he's, you know, a bit more sort of poker style bluffing? Has he got it in his hand? Do I mind render now?
Interesting choice. Now I think Skeletal Dragon is just a straightforward one. It's playable now. It does something decent, but I want to see some Onyxia. I want to see the new Onyxia get on board here and see what it can do. You know, making waves of whelps every single turn, I think is pretty cool.
I haven't actually read the Onyxia, I must admit. There were 51 buffs, so I think I'm in about 4.
It fills now it's an 8/8 that fills the board with 1/1s every turn.
Sounds good to me. Sounds like they've kept the flavour of the card, and it makes a lot more sense that way as well.
But he did end up with the Ysera from that Skeletal Dragon, so Bunnyhoppor really knows where it's at, because now there's even more spells and options available if he makes space. But now Warma gets his more of Cthulhu, and unlike Bunnyhoppor, is actually able to play and bank it.
Just for a minute I thought you did that on purpose, yeah, his more spells, but you just completely blanked it and you ruined it.
I just do things subconsciously, they just happen.
It was a great idea, just ruined. Both players halfway through their decks nearly, and nothing has happened of note. Like
Yeah, so apart from Warma being one ahead in Cthulhu, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, in a Rogue mirror, if someone jams a 9-9, it's an emergency. But in this, if someone jams a 9-9, we just keep talking about control warrior.
It's an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bunnyhoppor's just like, oh, for me, it was Tuesday. And then...
It soon will be. And nothing says old control warrior mirrors more than just playing a card that does nothing just to play it.
Nova Pass!
Oh my. I'm just gonna...
Another Ysera. Quick! Nosdormu this game!
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know, I would actually
Start of game.
if there was a card that shuffled a copy of a minion into each player's decks, and then reversed the game to the start of the game. So basically, you can enforce Nosdormu mode on people. That's what I would love.
Okay.
It would be so great.
Let's do that now.
Sarah only going to get Nightmare. Bunnyhoppor should have been aware of that being the case, as the cards generate in order of mana cost.
I think he wanted just the 4/12. Is it mana cost then alphabetical? Because obviously the animal companions used to be alphabetical when that was a thing.
I'm going to say yes, but the alphabetical thing I'm not going to 100% on.
Yeah, I don't know if it still does, but the animal companions where you can put all three in your hand. But
it doesn't matter in Ysera, right? Because none of them have duplicate mana.
Oh, do they not?
Do they? I thought it was the 0 cost Nightmare, 1 cost Dream, 2 cost Awakens, 3 cost Minion.
Got you.
Or is it the other way around? I think they're all unique mana costs. I think.
Cool.
Okay, it's probably something I'm going to be wrong about.
But yeah, I thought he wanted this Ysera just to have something, because he's got the other Ysera when he can actually get the good cards later. I think that Ysera might end up being better than Malygos when we stop messing around with Cthulhu pieces.
Yeah, Malygos has been played now, so it has thinned the deck quite a lot, and weirdly enough, there's nothing too dangerous in Warma's deck by the looks of things. Just, some more healing, some more spells. And of course, what's not shown on there, the Cthulhu pieces.
Right, Bunny should play a Luciano here and try and get rid of a Cthulhu piece, I think, if he hasn't got any of his own. But he has got his own?
Yeah, he can. That's what I'm saying. He can maul, right? He can maul the.
So he has to maul. Yeah, he has to maul so he can Luciano next turn, expecting to find Warma with Cthulhu pieces, but he hasn't got them. Looking after his minion, connecting for 4 Raven. He takes the lead, 26-30.
Big swing. Samuro, not really the matchup for this card at all. Samuro excels in, board focused, small minion matchups. When you look at Paladin, Rogue, arguably Hunter as well, if you ever see that on ladder. But not really in these slow control-y, it's all about value and spells matchup. Samuro's very much a throwaway card, I imagine, here for Warma.
Yep, looks that way.
And, still gets to do a decent job, but it's more like get cards out of the hand.
Yeah.
He's probably going to... Oh, okay. I thought he was going to play Zarella then.
I think he's been a bit greedy with the Zarella on purpose. He's got to match Bunny's good Zarella to get the same value.
I mean, he has 2 Desperate Prayers, right? So he could actually just 10 AoE at almost any point in the game as long as he's taking the damage. Oh well, Cthulhu.
Exciting times. Kind of.
Well, it does mean now, when you were talking about steals, there's only 1 Cthulhu piece that can be stolen from him before he completes it, and he doesn't have it in hand yet. So Bunnyhoppor's actually set up pretty well if we're just going to talk like pure Cthulhu situation.
Yeah, and that's another reason to have the Asera on the board a few turns ago. Just to get 12 health there that's basically added onto your health total if your opponent tries to Cthulhu you. That makes any sense. And I imagine we'll see the other one come down fairly soon to do the same sort of job. Especially after this Zyrella's gone, because now dealing with Asera is going to start getting at least a little bit irritating.
Bunnyhoppor probably going to save that insight to try and draw Cthulhu once he has procced it.
I like the way that Cthulhu works compared to the old quests. It's like a very different... It's doing the same thing, but it's doing it a lot more, I don't know, in the game rather than being forced.
Yeah. I also think like Ysera Dream might be alright here, right? Bounce the 4/4 back.
Could be.
Because the thing is, Zyrella's, one, it would go back to 4 mana, not 2. Not that it matters with the amount of mana these players are floating. But also, it would... Like, Warma's on 29 and Bunnyhoppor's nearly at Cthulhu. So... Yeah, I like this. He's doing that to get empty hand space. He can get another Nightmare anyway. And I'm going to guess he bounces this. See, there you go. See, 0, 1, 2.
Yeah. It makes sense now. I've seen it.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Because Warma can heal for 1 right now, and Zyrealla deals 1. Like, that's just a dead card in Warma's hand again.
Well, just... Yeah. 3 each. That's it. That's what we're commentating on now. It's the score.
The big deal here is, though, Bunnyhoppor can get rid of this, you know, what you were talking about earlier, this, like, extra health total when you talk about Cthulhu. Because he has, like, he's got Ysera Awakens, he can just Nightmare, trade. He can actually just hit it once, heal the Ysera, and then Hysteria.
What you're saying is his 6/6 is going to get bodied, right?
Yeah. Ooh, he's going for Insight now. Hog Saran. He won't want to Apotheosis this because he'll be aware that Warma's actually running a Shadow Word Death and he'll be probably a little bit afraid of it.
Having watched Bunny like a lot when you were casting him last year, something he always did was make sure in the mirror that his minions stayed on 4 attack, if at all possible. And I don't think that's going to change. It's the meme of priest casting for the last 6 years, but it still kind of holds true. As long as your 4 attack minion now has a lot of defense, like a 4/12, for instance, it still holds.
God, I'd love it if he just played Yogg, but I know he won't. It'd be so good.
Yeah, list of players least likely to play Yogg in all of Grandmasters in this situation. Number 1, Bunnyhoppor.
And the problem here is as well, he also won't want to play many more minions because he won't want Warma to be able to, like, Soul Mirror, for example, and then gain minions of his own, potentially.
Yeah. I think we're now past the point where anyone ever are Luciana's, right? Unless there's sort of a mistake made.
Yeah, and like this, right? He was looking at Laughing Sister, but if he played it and then there's a Soul Mirror, then there's a Ysera and Laughing Sister on Warma's side of the board, so that's more health, right? And Bunnyhoppor knows he's just a turn away. He can play the Cthulhu piece when he draws it, and then Insight to get Cthulhu, potentially.
Yeah, or the way it's going, just draw the last card in your deck, because they're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, if we actually look at the rest of Bunnyhoppor's list, there's only Malygos as a minion there. So, you know, it's either becomes a 50-50 for Malygos, or he draws Malygos first and then guarantees the Cthulhu afterwards.
Yeah. Which is, of course, the one point to this deck. We've talked a lot about that, you know, why do you do this? But this is now showing why you do it. The trouble is, in a mirror match, you're doing it to win the mirror match, and the other person's doing it as well, so why? So many questions, Raven.
Yeah, and the big question now for Bunnyhoppor is he has to kill this Ysera, or Cthulhu's not going to cut it.
So he's going to kill it.
Would like the Nightmare Face and then Hysteria. Yeah. Bank the damage. I like this a lot. Because why trade or anything like that, right? Just bank the damage by doing this and then go face for 8, which means now Warma not only needs minions, but has to heal up tons as well if Cthulhu's an active threat in the near future.
Yeah, and Bunnyhoppor also, by putting minions on the board, is stopping his opponent's Cthulhu threat. He's doing it one at a time because you don't need to be above 30, just on 30 plus a minion and you're good.
So very interesting. I maybe in our build-up for this game did not give enough respect to the whole game kind of just being about Cthulhu.
Right, yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
that was a weird miss for me, but I honestly just think that like the whole game revolving around this card is such a big deal that I didn't see coming. I thought maybe there would have been a bit of a play a little bit more for the board, but again, when you look at the deck list, there just aren't really any other minions in the deck. There's just a couple. So yeah, just kind of a fun one. I've never really, I don't think ever cast a like Cthulhu mirror of current.
With the Mind Renders, that's why I was sort of waffling on so much about the Luciana. It's like, if you catch one of those pieces, the opponent's just done. Because they can't ever get the Cthulhu.
Unless they have Yogg, and then they might just win anyway.
And possibly unless they cast one of your pieces that you stole from them, if they stole your piece, the same one. I don't know if that works or not, I must admit. Like if they steal your body,
I think it
and then
does
you
work
steal their
if
body.
you cast the right one.
Yeah. So many weird interactions. But yeah, it was a big deal, but now obviously it's not a big deal because you're never going to catch the piece anymore because your opponent knows you both have a Luciana by now.
And there's I've Cthulhu. For Warma, of course.
Created by another card.
And that does mean Cthulhu's in the deck for Warma. He has won the race, so to speak, to create Cthulhu, but he has not drawn it yet. And let's take a look at the remaining cards in Warma's list. There aren't too many, and there's still one minion. So even if he draws that Insight, it does not guarantee that he'll get Cthulhu, because it could draw him the Headmaster Kel'Thuzad.
But he is ahead in that race, like you say.
What's the worst that could happen if Bunnyhoppor just plays Yogg?
I think he might now. Well, the worst that could happen is you pyroblast yourself in the face 3 times, but realistically, I think he might just play it now because it's a minion and he'll get some stuff out of it.
And the problem is, whether this is technically or mathematically correct or not, if he doesn't and his opponent just draws Cthulhu, he just loses, right? So I actually like this Yogg here. We'll see what happens. The minion base. So this can go very right or very wrong, and it's definitely going to mess up Cthulhu.
I think Bunny's got the better of that. Oh, he might leave the mana tied up. No, he's just going to...
No. I think Condemn's way too good, right? Because what Condemn does is allow him to trade off some of this, and now look at the total health he has on board. But then again, Warma also has Condemn and Hysteria, so it won't really matter. And there's Insight. So like, Hysteria first, then Insight, then Condemn?
Sure.
And then Cthulhu maybe next turn, depending on how the Hysteria goes? You would want Hysteria first, right?
You've got to pick which minion you're putting it on.
Hysteria the 4/6, hoping it's Yogg, and then Condemn. I think?
Yeah.
That feels right. It might not be, but it feels right to me.
Hysteria face is just going to plow into everything and take 16 damage or something. Doesn't work like that, but I can dream. Worst possible result? Because he Hysteria'd the Yogg and not the 4/6?
It wouldn't necessarily have mattered, right? Because both the other minions were 3 attack.
Sure.
So by doing that, he actually... I think Yogg was correct, because Yogg removes the most attack off the board then at that point, right?
Actually, yeah, the attack's starting to matter. I hadn't realised that, because now you can die to a Cthulhu through a minion if you're below 30.
Yeah. There was a world where the 4/6 hits the 2 other minions and dies, and there's a 7 attack Yogg on the board, right? So...
Yeah, the attack actually matters.
Yeah.
Idle.
Dive in the shadows to get his last Cthulhu piece, I guess. Right?
Yeah. I think he's so low that maybe he just would want to get the piece and then get a 10-10 copy and then get the Cthulhu, but he just wants to get it over with.
Yep, Heart of Cthulhu. So that means Bunnyhoppor also has the Cthulhu in his deck. He does also have his Insight, but the problem is Insight wouldn't mean he could play it now anyway. So there's no point. He's going to drop that Apotheosis heal up to full, and for this second in time, make himself Cthulhu-proof.
Yeah, and the 6 health on the minion, again, relevant. I keep on about it, but that's basically onto your health total.
Wait, what? Oh, I was thinking of something way too spicy, clearly.
What were you even considering here?
So, like, palm reading into death into draw Cthulhu with Condemn, right? That would be enough mana? Like Cthulhu? Oh wait, no. What am I talking about? It's 10.
No, it's
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out where's the reduction.
No. Yeah, I was thinking. I'm being. Look, the long game's getting to me. That's my excuse. Anyway, there's Malygos though, so that means the Insight for Bunnyhoppor, I believe, is actually guaranteed because that's what the rest of his deck is.
But the problem is, as long as there's 4 12s and things living on the board, 30 damage isn't going to cut it.
Well, he's 2 off, right?
Yeah, but that's a lot because you're 2 off and then they suddenly Apotheosis and they Cthulhu you and you lose. Like, if he gets Cthulhu'd next turn, he's lost the game. So he has to at least put a minion down or take an absolutely monstrous gamble. Here it comes. He needs the minion to die, I feel. Because otherwise he just gets Apotheosis back up. He should kill it. He'll kill it. I'm going to guess about 90% or 85% of the time. That's my instinct on hitting 12 out of 30. To be most of the time for sure. Anyway, he got it done.
It's really funny though, right, as well, because by Bunnyhoppor playing this Cthulhu, even though it's not lethal, it also kind of stops Warma Cthulhuing him back.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just it tickles me.
Or does it? I think if Warma had hit the Cthulhu, he'd play it back, right?
It doesn't stop him playing it back. It stops him killing Bunnyhoppor with it.
Yeah.
It was more what I was getting at, yeah.
Oh, but how do you now... There's no more direct damage in Priest that we can think.
I like this. KT into Condemn. He gets his own, minion of Cthulhu on the board, so he gets tons of health, and he just says, well, you don't play any direct damage spells, so...
Yep. And I've got a 1 in 4 of just drawing Cthulhu.
But he's got it guaranteed now, right? He has Insight.
That too, yeah.
So he can guarantee Insight, and also Bunnyhopper's going to hit Fatigue first by the looks of things.
Yes. Yeah, that's been coming for a while.
And then the also issue on top of that is Bunnyhoppor, this might be worth it, but Bunnyhoppor could play Malygos, but it would set him to Fatigue now. But ignore those 2 Condemns, they're not there in the list. So Bunnyhoppor could have done that, but it looks like it wouldn't be enough here, so he's actually going to swap deck and take...
He gets rid of the Insight.
Well, he can't play Insight, right? Because it'll draw Cthulhu. We'll draw the Cthulhu, he wouldn't be able to play it, so it gives Warma 2 more mana next turn to heal.
Yeah, bad idea.
Yeah. Could go palm reading and try and discover a spell to actually kill one of these minions with. I guess this works too. Yeah, and he ends in Illusion.
Oh no. Yeah, double Illusion.
So he can't dump Bunnyhoppor's cards. This is just lethal, right?
Yes.
This is just going to be the game. It wasn't to be. Warma just got slightly ahead there, forced Bunnyhoppor to get into that Cthulhu earlier to like almost guard himself versus the Cthulhu. But again, it was that was a pretty crazy matchup, and one again. I will be honest, I did not for some reason expect it to be so much about the Cthulhu from what I felt was so early in the game. I thought there were going to be bigger plays made to try and take control, but again, when you look at the list, the minions don't exist there, so there's not really much going on. So pretty crazy overall, and it looks like Warma is going to take that series over Bunnyhoppor. A surprising one, but a great win for Warma.
Very nice for Warma. Orange made the point on his GM review, preview, whatever, that Warma's on a second life here. He got automatically re-promoted after being relegated. I made the point he was unlucky to get relegated, but he was relegated. But Warma's it's almost a free roll now. He's got nothing to lose. He's here again. And Orange was saying, that's a big deal. This could be a player to keep a very strong eye on this year. He's had the practice run, and now he's doing it sort of properly.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking,